You wanted the best. Well, they retired. So you got two dudes in a garage.
Talking KISS.
Welcome to the Hooligan Nation, a KISS-Centric podcast. I'm Anthony.
I'm Black Diamond Dave.
Yes, you are. You are my crowning achievement. Black Diamond Dave. We got to create like Black Diamond Dave t-shirts or something. Welcome to our version of As the KISS World Turns, where we discuss KISS current events, rumors, news, and interviews with current and past members. Strap in, crank it up, and let's talk KISS. Well, Black Diamond Dave, today we get to talk about the KISS Kennedy Center honors. Are you excited?
Oh, yeah. Something I think we've all been looking forward to since it was announced. It's going to be a good time.
All right, let's dig into this historic night in history. The first thing that popped into my head that I saw was within 5 minutes of the show starting, the camera panned to a shot of Bruce Kulick, Eric Singer, and Tommy Thayer. I thought that was a nice touch. I don't know where your opinion is on this, but I hate this kind of stuff. Like, look, I appreciate the 4 original members. The other guys just don't get enough credit from me. Like, I'm on record for actually complaining that the Rock Hall didn't include people like Vinnie Vincent. Like,
should have.
I
Part
thought,
of the story.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Vinnie's an asshat.
Yeah.
But he was part of 4. I think he was part of 4 different KISS albums. I think he played a part in Killers. He played a large part. Maybe he didn't play a part in Killers, but he played a large part in Creatures of the Night, a large part in Lick It Up, and he co-wrote a bunch of songs on Revenge. Like,
right.
That he should get. I mean, if you want to keep Mark St. John and not include him, like, I'm okay with that. But everybody else, I thought should be included. Eric Carr, definitely
There was
Bruce
next to
Kulick.
no mention of Eric. I'd like to point that out. That was
Right.
terrible.
Yeah. Well, there was no mention of Vinny. Not shocking. I don't think there was even a picture of Eric Carr. They invited Bruce, Tommy, and Eric, and they got him on camera. And during Trump's speech, Trump mentioned Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer, which I thought was also a thoughtful gesture.
Hated it.
But it's never enough for me, it seems, unless you include everybody.
That's my problem.
I don't get why the Rock Hall does that, and sometimes they do it, and sometimes they don't. Like, I'm pretty sure that the guitar tech for Bruce Springsteen was inducted into Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they inducted the E Street Band.
The entire band, everybody.
Yeah,
right.
Like 30 people got inducted, and you mean to tell me you can't induct at least Eric Carr and Bruce Kulick? Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer were in the band for 20 years. They made 2 albums. Like, yeah, well, Eric made 4 albums. Yeah, he should be included if you ask me.
Didn't leave by his choice. You know, he would have stuck around and
Right.
he would have continued on. And yeah.
Right. Look, this comes up all the time, especially with Bruce. The way Bruce talks about it, Eric was the one that was pissed about the reunion.
Right.
You know, Bruce has been on record saying multiple times he always knew it was going to happen. Like, and then after they did the Unplugged, it was kind of, to him, it was a done deal. It was definitely going to happen.
How could it not after the reception they got at the Unplugged? People were yelling it in the crowd.
Yeah, well, how can I mean, think about the visuals, but think about just the visuals. You know, you had the 4 original members in makeup. You had the stage. Wasn't it Rock and Roll Over?
Yeah.
I think it was Rock and Roll Over on the stage. Yeah, so you were kind of sending subliminal messages to all KISS fans that.
Yeah, they had the mannequins in the makeup too.
Yeah.
They really were. I didn't think about it like that.
Right. So you were like somebody was doing really good marketing. Let's see how many of
Totally.
these people are going to go buck wild over this, and well, a lot did.
History. History.
History, yes. Moving right in, Garth Brooks came out and gave a speech. I thought he did a really good job on the speech. I thought he was funny. I thought that it was interesting to listen to a guy that's looked at as a country music guy being such a big Kiss fan. It didn't come across as fake at all. I believed him that, he was a huge, huge Kiss fan. And when it came to performing, Shout It Out Loud wasn't the greatest performance ever, but it looked like he had fun and he got the crowd on their feet, and that was kind of fun to watch. I mean, there's definitely a reason why Kiss went last. I was hoping Kiss went first because I'd have shut it off after that, but there's a reason why Kiss went last, and that's the kind of reason they got people up in the crowd, and I definitely think Kiss was the biggest straw of the night. Well, you come from the South, so you might think it was George Strait, but I don't.
No, actually, in my notes about this show, the first thing I wrote is we closed the Kennedy Center. We made it, boys. Like
Yeah.
that's a big deal for us as Kiss fans.
Oh,
Um,
I definitely
yeah,
think it's a big deal. I personally I can't think of any bigger recognition than the Kennedy Center, just because of the sheer number of how few artists are in there, period. But if you really look to the hard rock and harder genre, there isn't a lot there. I mean, there's Led
who was it?
Zeppelin
Zeppelin and the Who.
and Who, and
That's it.
so Kiss is the third band ever. I think that's the biggest recognition they'll ever get.
It's a big redemption for people who took a lot of bullying and fighting with people about Kiss growing up and stuff. It's a cool moment for all of us.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, and
Seeing
you know
them
what?
recognized on that level, never thought I'd see that in my lifetime.
And it was nice to see how important it was to them. I think it was their crowning achievement, and I think that they thought it was their crowning achievement.
I just wish they hadn't been so goofy. Peter was the one trying to take it serious.
Well, if I gotta watch
You
Gene
look
do
out and
this, yeah.
Paul is
Oh
with the first
yeah.
lady. Oh
Yeah,
man, come on, dude.
I don't know what that was about, but him with the hand dancing and Gene with this every chance he got. Like, no, Gene, you didn't get to copyright this, so please stop.
My
He's
wife
not gonna
goes,
stop.
my wife goes, does he know that's not the rock one?
Yeah, well, you heard about that, right? He tried to
when
copyright
when
this.
Dio passed away, he tried
Yeah,
to say yeah, no.
um, he created the wheel. To
Breathing.
him, he created all of that. Good for him. And then Chris Angel came out, and I thought he was the unsung hero of the night. He also gave a great speech. The platform boots were interesting and entertaining, and they definitely show you that it's harder to walk in them things than I think all of us that have never walked in them thinks.
Right.
Because you could definitely see he was struggling with the platform boots. And then the cameras kept panning up to the Kiss box. And I did think the empty seat for Ace with the metal resting on the seat back was an epic gesture.
Yeah.
And the Chris Angel tribute to Ace was spectacular.
Favorite part.
I'm not sure anyone could have thought up a better tribute, uh,
Not at all.
better than a smoking Les Paul on the stage alone with Fractured Mirror playing. This Ace Frehley fan needed that for closure. I cried a little, and I don't usually cry, but I needed to, And I hadn't shed a tear for Ace until that moment, and it kind of felt good to do it. But I did. I cried like a little 9-year-old
No,
for
dude, it was closure for a lot of people. Oh, when it was Fractured Mirror and I realized that's what it was, that's when my heart, oh, what a
yeah,
beautiful moment. Was the best
yeah,
part of the night, in my opinion.
yeah.
Chris Angel gave the best speech, I honestly think. Couldn't ask for a better tribute to Ace.
No,
I wish he had
I'm.
been there. It hurts. It hurts so much to see Kiss's three people. And
It's
then
not.
Monique in the back, man. Oh,
Dude, watching Monique cry was heartbreaking. I,
it was, oh yeah, it was rough, brother.
I've said this before. I've said this to you. Ace's house is about 3 miles away from me, and I have heard that Monique is gonna stay there. If I see Monique in the grocery store, I'm gonna go to prison because I'm gonna walk up to her and just hug her.
And cry.
Yeah, and
Right.
I'm probably gonna end up with a restraining order against me and in handcuffs. But I'm serious. Like, I don't know Monique. I never met Monique, but I do feel terrible for her. And then, it's all cool and everything, but Jesus, like Ace just died a couple months ago, and she's
Dude, it's
got to
not even
go.
2 full months, really, is it? It's like
Yeah.
barely 2 months. Oh,
Well, I think it was just about, no, it
it
wasn't.
was the 16th of October
Right. And they filmed, I think they filmed
at the or at start of the
Kennedy
month.
Center December 7th. So
Yeah,
it's
whew,
not even 2 months, and she's got to get thrust in the middle of that and got to hold it together.
is
Yeah, I
this
don't know.
also after Gene said what he said too in the
It is
timeline?
it is
Oh,
after it. I believe that that New York, I think it was the Post. I think the New York Post article came out December 6th, and they filmed that December 7th. Which might actually be part of the frostiness, let's say, between
sure.
the two, what I thought was the two completely different factions. Because to me, it looked like Shannon Tweed, Aaron, Paul, and Gene, and then there was like this divide, and then there was Peter, Gigi, and Monique. Like
Yeah,
that was one of those things that caught my eye also.
it was tension. That's what I wrote in my notes right
Yeah.
off the back. It is tension
Tension.
and awkward in that balcony.
Yes, it was there was a lot of that. There was much more tension than I expected there to be, but it was pretty obvious to me.
From the
And
first number.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, look, some of it doesn't shock me. There was always going to be Paul and Gene, and then Peter. Look, Ace complained about that in interviews after Peter left the band, that it was Paul and Gene and then Ace. So they've been doing this for what, 40 years? Like that's never going to change.
It's over. You won.
Oh, well, they did win and it is over. But I was going to save this for the end, but I'll say this now. The single biggest thing that I took from the entire night that was kind of depressing and very sad, and I wonder how many other people have thought about this. That very well may be the last time we see the three surviving members of KISS together.
Oh yeah.
Like
Peter looks
that.
over it. Peter looks over it. That was what I wrote in my notes. He doesn't even look interested in being a part of it. As far as like Pop House and stuff down the road, I said that to me is the proof it's not happening.
I think it just gets to be too much work. And
Yeah,
then
he's
and
80.
then and then you come in and you're not treated as an equal, which Peter said this over and over again, and so is Ace. That's their biggest problem. They're not treated as equals. Everybody else seems to be okay with kind of being an employee. Like Bruce Never complained about it. Eric doesn't. Tommy doesn't. Vinny has, of course, but Vinny complaining means very little to most, I think, to most of us, because that's all Vinny does is complain.
They say Eric Carr wasn't a fan either, though.
No, and you know what? It's funny. More as time goes on, more of that comes out. That Eric Carr wasn't happy. That him and Paul couldn't get along for various reasons. From everything that I've always heard, how can you not get along with Eric Carr?
That's what I've
He
always heard.
he was
Nicest
like
guy ever.
yeah, he was the nicest guy ever. If you can't get along with him, that probably means it was your fault. So then we
Oh,
move on to Marcus King, who I'll be honest, I still don't know anything about Marcus King.
if this didn't sell you, it won't.
No, and part of the reason why it didn't sell me was I didn't feel like we needed two country artists. That's one too many for me, but I don't like country. I also thought, wow, there's so many other artists that you can put in there. And I know they're looking for mainstream. Like to me, there would be nobody better than Anthrax. I don't know that the Kennedy Center wants to parade out Anthrax on national TV. I'm just and look, nothing against Anthrax. I would have preferred Anthrax. I would have preferred Lady Gaga. I always thought that was a good idea. What I wasn't considering was the political ramifications of it, which I think are stupid, but they're real. So,
Yeah.
uh, you know, Trump is polarizing, and that may have been part of the reason why we got the artists that we got. Well, maybe this artist and that artist refused to play for, and hopefully we'll get a reason, but I just wonder if it's for political reasons, which is a shame because I would have liked to seen Lady Gaga. I would have probably been at the top of my list.
Honestly, yeah. I think somebody different and interesting like that would have been a really good rub for them and would have made younger people pay attention to them,
Right.
but didn't happen. I actually
Right.
wrote in my notes too, we really couldn't find a bigger artist to pay tribute. I thought that was really sad. Even if it had been, if they could have got Taylor Swift, could you imagine how big that would have been for the band?
Oh, that would have been, well, she's really she's the biggest. She's number
Period.
one.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to go there. Like pull Madonna at a semi-retirement. You could have done that. I would have been cool with that too. And there others. Keith Urban is a huge hard rock fan. I mean, he is another country artist, but you can't tell me there isn't more. And look, that's just speaking for Marcus King. Like I thought Garth Brooks has a history with Kiss. He has a long history of being a Kiss fan. I don't have any problem with Garth Brooks, and I don't know that there would have been a better choice than Cheap Trick, again, because of their long history. I just didn't understand where Marcus King kind of fit in, but I did like his Boss Hog cowboy hat.
He did look like Boss Hog.
I did. It was a Boss Hog cowboy hat, and that's the first thing I thought was, oh shit, look, he got a Boss Hog cowboy hat on. Good for him.
I'm working with him on Southern Engagement, guys.
I'm
Dukes of
doing my
Hazzard
best.
references.
I'm doing my, oh, I'm a huge Dukes of Hazzard fan.
Heck yeah, man.
I'm just not a huge fan of the bang taka dang taka dang 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 kata dang kata dang dang dang. Nah, not my thing.
Music of my people.
Now, Cheap Trick closed the show with Rock and Roll All Night. I think it was the best performance of the night, period.
It was the most straightforward.
The kids in makeup was a nice touch. Yeah, I thought it was good. Again, just like Garth Brooks, I felt like Cheap Trick was having fun out there. I will say this one more time. I think it's a damn shame that their fans are beating them up. for going to the Kennedy Center Honors to help induct KISS. Like, we got to get over the politics of it because, in a couple years, we're going to have a Kennedy Center Honors and it's going to be a different president, and that president may be a Democrat. And at least for me, I could care less who the president is. I mean, when it comes to that, I could care less who the president is. Like, if, I don't know, if Metallica goes in there in 4 or 5 years and it happens to be a Democratic president, I could care less. Like, I don't think it even matters. And I understand that, Trump had to host it. And Trump, and I will say this for all my highly left-wing hooligans. Yes, I do have a problem that Trump's changed the name to the Kennedy Center.
It's pretty weird.
Yeah.
His Trump everything thing is kind of
He's
weird.
just got to go overboard on everything.
Super villain.
Yeah, I think he enjoys that way too much. Like, I wonder if he does some of this stuff just to villainize himself even more. Like, why would
strategy.
You do that? Why would you change? And then he says the board voted on it. Well, he probably put the board in there.
I was gonna say, didn't he take it over and load the board?
I'm like, no, stop. Like, is it me? And I don't want to get into politics and turn this into a
no, thank you.
Political thing in any way, but is it me, or do you start to feel like the people that are around him just don't say anything? Like, are you crazy? You can't change the name of that. Somebody after you can do it, but you can't do it. Like, and
it
you
sounds
are
like a Seinfeld skit.
You are trying to take John F. Kennedy's name off of something. You should never try to do that. Never. It's never going to work out. That guy, rightfully so, is looked at as a hero president.
Well, didn't he Trump hyphen Kennedy? Isn't that what he did?
Yes. If you're the president and you want to be the MC at the Kennedy Center Honors, knock yourself out. I could care less. But changing the name, I got a little problem with that. But the artist possibly not playing because of who the president is, I'm not with that either. Like, and the KISS tarts out there that are the things that they're the hatred that some of them are spewing. Like the band, I read a comment of course on social media. Somebody said that Paul and Gene should have refused the recognition.
Okay.
Whoever that person is, number one, if you're listening, if you're a hooligan and you're listening or you're watching us, Paul and Gene do not refuse any recognition. I don't care where it comes from. That's the first thing. The second thing is nobody in their right mind would refuse that. What? Because the president isn't popular with certain people? Yo, people, there's no presidents that are popular with everybody.
No.
And
when was this going to come up again? Not in their lifetimes.
I think Gene's 76 years old. At 76 years old, you got to take whatever you can get with the time you have left.
Right.
Peter's 80. Look, yeah. Ace died before he even got in. Like, I think it's too much to ask a band, any band, to put the politics before the recognition of 50 years of work. That's my 2 cents. The bottom line, I think the Kennedy Center got it right. And KISS is finally at the top of the mountain. Not sure that anything will ever beat this recognition.
No, it was awesome, but I'm not going to let this conversation end without putting Paul on blast. You look like a dope, bud.
He looked like a dope. I'll agree he looked like a dope. And when he leaned over to shake Peter's hand,
Mm.
it was the fakest thing that I've seen in a long, long time.
Did you think back to the stories of them laughing at him when they would record Beth and stuff like that? That's
Right.
where my mind went.
Yeah, and all the and every time something like that happens, I think back of all the statements and the comments and we got to change the name from Kiss to Piss and how many times they had to come out over the last however many years and say Peter didn't really write that song.
Right.
Okay, look, if Peter didn't really write that song, I don't have an issue with anybody that knows it saying that he didn't. But after you've said it 500 times, I don't need to hear it again. I say this rather regularly. The gymnasium joke was
Uh,
funny. It was funny. It's not funny anymore. Like these guys just don't get that. They gotta push their narrative past nauseum sometimes. Like, you guys are all old men. Like, just kiss, hug, and
Enjoy it.
and go your separate ways. I'm not a big X guy or Twitter guy. I don't know if you are, but I'm not. But every once in a while, I jump on there, and Peter put out I don't know what they call it, a tweet. It's a tweet to me. Peter put out a tweet. I think it was on Christmas, like Merry Christmas to, the Kiss Army or something. And Gene, he posted something to Peter that was nice. And I don't remember what it was word for word, but he did post something that was nice. And I thought, oh, well, it's got to be so hard to be in Gene's head. 1 minute you're talking shit about the guy. The next minute you're tweeting nice things about him. How do you even keep up with whether you like somebody or not when you go back and forth? It's just like all the sound bites of Ace. I just read another one where Gene said that the casket was open and he couldn't look in the casket. It was just too heartbreaking to look in the casket. If it was too heartbreaking to look in the casket, then shut your mouth.
Amen. Amen.
Like,
It's too heartbreaking. Then I'll go
yeah,
on TV and say bad things. It doesn't
right,
register. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
right. And look, I love Gene. I just don't like everything that comes out of his mouth. Look, I love Paul too. But
This one was like especially just tasteless. You knew
tasteless,
he would say
stupid.
you knew he said stupid stuff, but you didn't think he didn't understand death.
I just don't get it. I
I really
just
don't.
cannot understand why they have to keep doing it. Hey, let me ask you a question before we skedaddle out of here.
Okay, what's up?
If you had a choice of three artists
Oh
to
man,
play, who would it be? And yes, I'm putting you on the spot.
that's super on the spot. For Kiss though, honestly, they could have got Rush to do something. Like some of the bands they took out early, Maiden would have been cool.
But they're not going to put Maiden on national TV, I don't
They're
think.
not going to put anybody I want on national TV. Maybe Rush. That was like the only one I could see them doing.
Rush is an interesting thing because they're coming back with a reunion tour this year. That would have helped
Right.
Rush out also. I never,
Pearl
I never
Jam.
thought about Rush. Oh,
Pearl Jam would have been a good one. I'm trying to think of other people that really like the band. If they were alive, Pantera would have been the bomb.
yeah, they're not putting Pantera on.
Yeah, they're not putting anybody I want on though. I don't know. Who have you got so far? I think I threw one out there with Rush.
Oh no, I got three of them,
All
and
right, what's your three?
and I would have left Cheap Trick in there, because I think it made sense and they did a good job. I would have liked to seen Lady Gaga, although I love the idea of Taylor Swift, but maybe maybe that's a political thing. Plus, maybe Taylor Swift is a little too big.
I,
And the other one that I haven't heard anybody brought up was Lenny Kravitz.
I just feel
Like,
like he got overused long ago for these kind of things.
well, I think he
I feel
did,
like
but
he had a residency at the Rock Hall at one point, it felt like.
Lenny's music seems to grab more than one genre, which is why I pick him. Like, yeah, so I thought he would have been good for national TV. But again, maybe maybe they tried and politics got in the way. I don't know. I'd love to find out, and
I feel like Lenny
hopefully
separates those things though. He seems like a laid back dude.
I would hope so. I think everybody should separate those things, but clearly everybody isn't gonna separate those things.
No.
What else? I like and this has been said all over social media too, but I like the old school kiss sign in the back.
Oh, that they got it right this time?
Yeah, I
Because
thought that
everybody
was
had a meltdown over Vegas.
I didn't have a meltdown
I
over
thought that
Vegas.
was so cool.
Yeah, I thought that was cool, but I like the old school kiss sign being in the background. I thought that was a nice touch. And it when it comes to Kiss, what's more iconic? Maybe it's the four makeup designs and
And
then
the
it's the
logo.
Kiss logo. So they did the makeup designs with the kids dancing in the crowd. I thought that was cool. And then they put the Kiss logo up. Like, I think they just got it right enough. I would have preferred different artists maybe, but I was okay with what they have. And like I said, at least Marcus King came out with a Boss Hog hat. Look, to wrap this up, the bottom line, I don't think, if you take into consideration the politics of it and how artists are either very for or very against Trump, I don't think they could have done a better job choosing the artists. I I, I for sure think they did a great job with the people who spoke. They chose Kiss fans like Chris Angel and Garth Brooks. I thought the dedication or the tribute to Ace, nobody, I dare anybody to come up with a better tribute than the smoking guitar. Chris Angel came up with that, I think, on his own because I listened to Eddie Trunk's daily radio show and he called Eddie Trunk and said, "Can you get me a smoking guitar?"
Oh man.
And I believe that Eddie Trunk got him that smoking guitar. So a lot of credit has to go to Chris Angel for knowing, and he is kind of besties with Paul, which kind of makes it a little surprising
Right.
that he's the one that did the tribute, but he did it, and I think he did a great job of it. Look, at the end of the day, whether Gene and Paul like this or not, this is really about the Kiss fans more than anything. Because if it wasn't for us, they're not at the Kennedy Center. Now they came up with the ideas and the makeup and all the rest, and they wrote the music and did all that, and it's great. But if we don't buy the records, if we don't go to the shows, if we don't buy the Kiss condoms, Kiss caskets, air guitar strings, and don't forget your cutlery set, run out there and get your $3,000 or $2,000 cutlery set. But if we don't buy that stuff and we don't buy into what they were selling for 50 years, they're not going into the Kennedy Center.
Nobody preached for them like the fans did. Nobody kept them relevant for 50 years like the fans
Right.
did. This is just as much the fans' award at this point.
Just because you write good songs and sing good songs does not mean that you get to the top of that mountain. There's a lot of moving parts. And one of the biggest moving parts is you need the fan base. And who's got a bigger, more loyal fan base than KISS does?
No, it was a vindication of a cultural phenomenon. This is a huge moment for everybody. I hope we can all enjoy it for what it was.
If you're listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, please leave us a review. And if you just found us, check out our past episodes. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel and you like this episode, please consider hitting the like button, just like that guy, and leaving us a comment. Hit that subscribe button, just like that guy, so you don't miss any future episodes. And check out these episodes right here. As always, if you made it this far, thank you for supporting us, and don't forget, we should all lead with love and take care of each other. Peace out, Hooligan Nation.